Welcome to Podadelphia. My name is Dave DiOrio. You can find me on Twitter at @fat_lobster. And I am joined by two presents under your Christmas in July Christmas tree. What's up, Sarah and Jean?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Jean. That's a bad setup, Dave, because I know for a fact I gave my clever answer last year. But Merry Christmas in July. It was 90 freaking degrees in Philadelphia today. I hope it was cooler where you live. My name is Sarah Siders. You can find me on Twitter at Sarah Siders. You can find the show at Podadelphia.
And I'm Gene Zelak. You can find me on Twitter at Producer Gene. And I find that I prefer Christmas in July than actual Christmas because I don't have to go and visit nearly as many people in July as I do it in December. So I prefer the loner version of Christmas. So,
you're blessed with a large family, Gene.
Sure, blessed.
Or many obligations.
I think it's probably more of that. You can also find the show at Podadelphia because this is the bit that will never die.
It really should, though. It really should.
Did I use a Christmas in July bit last July?
If not last July, the year before, because
we have a lot of new listeners.
I started to say, "Oh, my thing about Christmas in July," and you're like, "I know it should be in June or whatever," and it was a whole big thing. It was kind of clever, more clever than this interaction we're having now, but yeah.
Yeah, that
Christmas in July should be in June.
That conversation's feeling vaguely familiar. Yeah. We start today with the games of the whatever Olympiad being held in Tokyo. And the big news that came out just today was that Simone Biles has withdrawn from the team competition. At the very least, she's withdrawn from the team competition. And when we got this news this morning, there was some was it injury or was it something else? And we saw some conflicting reports. Some said it was an injury based on the vault, the first vault that she took, versus some sort of mental health issue. So, but what is everyone's thoughts on this? I have a certain feeling about this that I'm happy to share. But where does everyone stand with this? How do we feel about this?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. It was later confirmed that there was no physical injury. What was hampering her was mental health issues. She attempted, and I'm not even going to pretend like I know gymnastic moves. I haven't started watching this Olympics. I only know them every 4 years. So she was attempting something.
I believe they're called 6 stunts.
6 stunts. Yes.
Yeah. She was attempting 6 stunts on the vault.
Someone has been watching the skateboarding. But so she was attempting something and was going to do a triple, but only did a double because essentially she bailed out. She lost her nerve in the middle of it. And, in some things that would be a poor excuse. But when you flip your body over and your head is parallel to the ground at points, I think losing your nerve and losing your form is a good enough excuse to take a step back and say, let's let the rest of the team handle it.
Gene, you want to weigh in before everyone tees off?
I got to be honest. I'm just hearing now that it's a mental health thing, so I hadn't truly formed much of an opinion. Up until just moments ago, I assumed that this was a physical thing. But sort of along the lines of what Sarah said, in an event like this or in a sport like this, where truly your nerve is possibly the actual thing that is setting you apart from just some other athlete that is doing the same thing that you were doing. It really is that you have to have the guts to be able to push your physical limitations beyond what you've been doing every single time. And in Simone Biles' case, she was already so far beyond what other people were doing physically that I think that she has reached a point where she just mentally can no longer extend herself out to a place that is safe when you've been living on sort of, and I don't think that there's anything you can't really discount the fact that she had to spend an extra year mentally sort of at this edge preparing for an event that was supposed to be a year ago, where, she now had to, there was some conversations that I saw in interviews leading into the event, into the games, where she was saying, I was despondent when the games were canceled because I had to sort of psych myself up mentally to go through the whole process again. And I think that there is a certain amount of, you can only take so much mentally. You can only stay on that edge for so long mentally. And it's unfortunate that this is one of those things that may end up lingering. I don't know that it's going to knock her legacy. She was pretty dominant in Rio. But I certainly don't want to see somebody that is, you didn't want to see Michael Phelps go out, not being able to swim. You know what I mean? You didn't want to watch him clapping on the side of the pool. You didn't want to see, you don't want to see any great athlete not performing on this stage that they are best at performing. I don't think anybody's going to say that Simone Biles is now a bad gymnast. You're not going to say that she's not, wasn't one of the best Olympians that America's ever produced.
Well, she was a great gymnast.
Well, I mean, we don't know that she's not going to be able to, that she's going to not compete for the rest of the games. We don't know that yet. Maybe she won't. Like most people, I am not somebody who avidly follows gymnastics all year round. In fact, I prefer to watch the packaged format of the gymnasts because I like the way they sort of weave it in the plot, and explain things to me rather than try and watch it live. I really need to have these sorts of things spoon-fed to me and be like, okay, in this event, so-and-so needs to hit this number or this number of tricks or pull off this particular stunt in order to win. If somebody doesn't tell me that, I have no idea what I'm watching. Same thing with figure skating.
Yeah, I mean, all of us are like, when it comes to the Olympics, unless we're watching baseball, or, tennis, like golf, like any of the we don't know. We don't know. We don't know the rules of handball. We don't know any of this stuff. We need the commentators to kind of hold our hands through most of these. So I wanted to make sure that, like, while I was forming my opinion of this situation, I watched the package tonight because I didn't get to watch it live. So I wanted to see like what actually went down. Okay, so in the broadcast, all right, you got to understand. So the team event is they take four gymnasts, and on each apparatus they take the top 3 and they have them do those 6 stunts on those apparatuses. Now, Biles was one of those 4, obviously, and when you watch the broadcast, all leading up to it, it was, wow, she had a lot of problems in the preliminaries. She had a lot of problems in qualifying. She had problems, in nationals. And so all leading up to this is like red flags, red flags, red flags. This isn't happening. Then she does the vault, right? She doesn't do exactly what was planned out. It was basically a disaster if you listen to the commentators. And then you see her talk to her coach. She says, I just don't trust myself. If you're doing the lip reading, she's saying, I just don't trust myself. She literally now has the yips. This is like Knobloch-esque. We can't make the throw to first base, but like you said, complicated by like 1,000 because you're doing like something like much more mechanically difficult than throwing to first base or making a 3-foot putt. And this is not something that just like unravels tomorrow when she does the individual events for the Olympics. This is like, okay, we need like a sports psychologist in here. This is going to take like time to rebuild. And that's just not something that is probably going to happen this week. If you're watching Ted Lasso, episode 1 of season 2, you know all about this, spoilers, but we are involved in that. So that's my blueprint here I'm going off of. So I know what it takes to get over them. But that's it. It's done. It's like it's fractured. Like once that breaks, I feel like it'll never be the same when you put it back together again. You could super glue it, you can tape it and whatever and put it all back together, but it'll never be the same as it was before. And I feel like because of all these like leading up to this events, like, oh, they were struggling here, we're struggling here, we're struggling here, we're struggling here. If I see a lot of people on Twitter calling her like a hero for doing this, like what courage to withdraw from this event. But really, I think it would have been much more courageous to recognize this before the event started, allowed another person to take her place on the team, because now the other 3 team members are left out to dry, because now all of them have to do every apparatus. So it's like, okay, well, now we're doing 6 stunts on all this stuff. And we have no one else to take our place. And I'll tell you what, they hung tough, silver medal, all the props in the world. But if she knew this before going into this event tonight, I think the really courageous thing to do would have been to step down before the event to actually give her teammates a fighting chance.
Well, the first thing I'll say is I was prepared to be far more outraged, Dave. So, and I understand what you're saying. And I don't know what her mental health history is. If this is something that has been plaguing her a lot recently and she has successfully dealt with it and managed it and known when she can go and when she can't, then yeah, Dave, I think you're right. You do have an obligation if you have a medical problem, and this isn't dismissing mental health. This is saying if you have a medical problem, you owe it to your team to be forthright about it. And you owe it to yourself to be honest with yourself. Now, the problem is, if you got a bad knee, your knee is not telling your brain that you can go. If you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you have the yips, your brain lies to you. Your brain tells you, it's telling her, Simone, you're the greatest in the world. You're the greatest of all time, yada, yada, yada. You can do it. You can do it. Buckle down and do it. Buckle down and do it. Buckle down and do it. And she probably thought she could pull it out up until she couldn't. So would it have been better to have enough self-awareness, to have enough foresight to drop out earlier? She couldn't do it? Yes. Yeah, it was. It would have been. But it doesn't mean that she is wrong to drop out, to recuse herself, to pull herself back, whatever she did. It doesn't mean that she was wrong in the time. Could it have been better? Sure. But in the time, if it's going to derail the team, because imagine she didn't pull out. The one thing is, maybe she had bad scores or whatever the case may be, or it could have derailed the team. When you have, this icon of American gymnastics, if she's having a meltdown, if she's having a breakdown, like while they're trying to do it, that does nobody any good. If she can take a step back and go, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader right here, and she has the capacity to do that, then that's the better option. Now, I know how many times I said if just there. There are certain things we don't know. And I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt because it takes a lot of mental strength to get to where she is and to do what she's done in the past. So
yeah, I got a really hard time believing that at that moment, on that vault, on that run was the precise moment where she started to have doubts about her ability, and I don't know what she was doing there, or questioning like her mechanics or whatever is going through her mind. I just have a hard time believing that at that precise moment, that was the breaking point where this thing started to go south. I feel it in my bones. I mean, I have no way of knowing, but I would have to think leading up to that, there was a swelling of this sentiment. Again, I have no idea. It just seems to me like it's too convenient to be like, okay, well, I took this vault. Now I'm like, well, now it's just not going to work out for me. So I have to withdraw.
But I'll just want to say one thing on that is, how many times have we seen a football player come back onto the field? Whoa.
Yeah, Chris says, let's all down Simone. So many girls would kill to be there. Which is true. I mean, they took some gymnasts with them that just would have loved to have that opportunity to compete in the team event that just didn't get it.
Yeah, but would you say, and the comment was that Simone let us all down, so many girls would kill to be there. Would you say that to someone who blew out their knee? Would you go, Simone doesn't stick a landing, blows out her knee. It's like, well, so many girls would kill to be there.
Well,
she let us all down. No, I don't want to hear because
if you knew before the event you were going to, then yeah, I mean, you should have withdrawn.
Well, but how many athletes do we celebrate for? Here's Aaron Rodgers coming back on the field. Can he go? Can he not go? He's going to try to tough it out, and now he can't go. Do we go, Aaron, you should have stayed in the locker room? You let everybody down?
I heard the same thing about Chase Utley in 2013, where he's having a hip issue and he's gutting it out, and I hear all on sports radio, if Utley knew he was injured.
I'm sorry. Sports radio is our bastion for good takes?
I'm just telling you what public sentiment is.
Yeah, and public sentiment can be wrong, But, all right, Gene, hop on in here.
Okay, so I think that one of the things that sort of separates this maybe from, if you think in terms of the world of American professional team sports, is that gymnastics in and of itself, even though there is a team aspect, is a very private exercise. It's a very internal exercise. When you're playing football, you are, even if you're the quarterback, there is still a certain amount of, there are people that you can sort of lean on to a certain degree. And in a case of a sport like gymnastics, and probably the equivalent in the Winter Olympics would be, look, he's hanging on every word.
Where are you going with this, Gene?
So
with your private exercises.
So figure skating is probably similar. I think that the thing is, when you're playing football, you are not actively going to do something necessarily that you are going to put yourself not just in harm's way, like running in, getting hit by a linebacker, but by design, you have to, in order to win, do something that, if not done with absolute precision, will guarantee to hurt you. If you do not do it exactly right with total mental acuity, you will get hurt. And even though someone like Simone Biles has gone through these things probably 1,000 times in practice, if you can no longer mentally get yourself to a place where you can do it safely, and maybe it was literally at that moment that there was some sort of a break. The same thing is you can have an injury to your leg, that your leg is fine up until the point it gets injured. Your mental health can be fine up until the point that it's not. And
I get it. But you're contesting that must have been the moment when she did that vault. The second she took off on that vault, that was the moment that the house of cards fell, and she couldn't continue anymore.
There is a certain.
I'm saying that in order for those house of cards to fall, there must have been something going on before that.
In the same way that you may have what they call a stress fracture with tiny little bits, tiny little breaks, eventually those stress fractures sort of compel the injury to be no longer tenable. You can no longer walk on the foot. And I am guessing, when you are somebody who, Simone Biles is very unique in the fact that she was put on a pedestal that was, not only is she going to win, she's going to do things that are going to propel the sport forward. It wasn't for her so much even about just winning a gold medal. It was about, we are expecting to see her do something that no one has ever done before and no one will do again. And that amount of pressure built over 5 years probably at some point is going to cause you to disassociate from who you are as a person. I can't imagine if somebody kept telling me every day, you are going to take podcasting to the next century. You are going to do something on Podadelphia tonight that no one has ever done before and no one will do again.
Gene, you do that every episode, so don't sell yourself short. Sarah says, I don't think she let anyone down. Sarah, the listener, says, I don't think she let anyone down. She is so very brave for knowing her mental limitations at that moment and preventing herself from possibly badly injuring herself. Totally agree. I don't think anyone is saying, well, I'm not saying that she should have pressed on at that point and continued to compete. My whole stance is, look, I think if you polled the nation when they say, okay, Summer Olympics, what is the marquee event? They're going to say women's gymnastics. I think most of the country is going to say that. So as the United States, we are most compelled by that event. And if you know you can't go, I think the more heroic, the more mature position to take would be, I'm recusing myself before the event. Look, we have two alternates here that are more than admirably step in here and take over and do 6 stunts on at least 2 of these apparatuses. So that's my only point of contention, is like, any chance we could have recognized this earlier. And if we want to cry heroism, I think, there was a more heroic stance to take.
But if all your life you've been able to sort of get to that point, and even through all of these trials, they've said that she was struggling, but she still was able to qualify. So even her, probably at like whatever percentage she was off her game, she was still just physically further along than most of her teammates. And if she probably, up to the moment, thought that there was a way to proceed. I don't think that anybody would have gone into that team event or up against that apparatus with the intention of sabotaging the American gold medal. There's just no way that I believe that she thought, up until the moment that she didn't.
No, I'm not saying she sabotaged it intentionally. I'm not saying I think she probably thought she could overcome it. And to me, that's a selfish act, is to say, like, look, I can't go, but I'm going to go anyway because I'm going to power through when I know I can't.
What person is that self-aware that they're able to pull themselves off the ledge like that? I've never seen anybody that, not at that level, that is able. I mean, that's why you see people in professional sports get the yips, because literally they think, up until the point that they can't do something, that they're going to be able to do it. Ask Markelle Fultz. I'm sure that he'll tell you when he's at the foul line, he thinks he's going to hit that foul shot.
Well, you know what? Then the coach has the duty to sit her.
But how is this coach supposed to get into her brain? There's no way. There's no way a coach can be watching Simone Biles perform the way she performs and be like, yeah, she's probably not going to be able to go. That coach,
look, if I'm a putter, if I'm a golfer and I can't make a 3-foot putt, the only person I'm hurting is myself. If I'm Chuck Knobloch and I can't make the throw to first base, well, then my manager's got an obligation to say, yeah, you can't go out there if you can't make a throw to first base.
Dave, I want to double back to something you said earlier. You said, would have shown more maturity and would have shown more heroism. I think maturity might be the operative word here. And I'm not saying that, in any sort of derogatory way. I'm not saying, oh, she's immature, like she's childish. I'm saying it takes some time to have that knowledge of yourself, that knowledge of how best to take care of yourself, how you can take one step back to ensure that everything's going to go fine. And this is not at all the same. Not at all the same, because I'm never anything close to a professional athlete. But I used to have a lot of back problems. And I used to try to push through. I used to go, my back is not bothering me too bad. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then as I was approaching 30, it was just becoming too big a deal. And I'd try to push through and I'd be laid up for a couple days. Now I know, through experience, through being older, hey, if my back's bothering me, I'm going to go lay down for a bit. I'm going to take care of it at the moment. So it's 4 hours, half a day, whatever, of me being laid up, as opposed to me taking care of myself, as opposed to pushing to the point where I can't physically go anymore. And that took life. That took, having enough self-confidence to go, I know me. This isn't going, oh, my back hurts, I need to lay down for a little bit. Oh, aren't I selfish? As opposed to, my back hurts, I need to go lay down a little bit or I can't walk tomorrow. So it could just be she had anxiety, and every other time when she had to compete for something, maybe it went away. but this time it didn't, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, no one's building monuments to generals who surrender, even though they may save, thousands of lives. So, like, no one's going to build a monument to Simone Biles for dropping out, even though if she had, or if she had recognized this, hell, before the Olympics even started, said, look, I don't want to deal with this pressure. It's not worth it. I've already done everything that there is to do in this sport. Like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm not into these games. I'm not going.
It's such a fine line, though. It's such a fine line because, this is again, I'm relating to myself, but like, we all have a theater background. I cannot tell you how many times I screwed something up with like trying to get through a monologue and going, you know what? It's going to be the audience, which there was none. That's a game changer too. She didn't have a crowd to feed off of. But, I would go out there and go like, yep, doing it in the moment, that adrenaline can carry you through when you don't have a choice to double back. And that treated me well a long time. I've sat down to record something and I can't get through it when I'm rehearsing it. But then I go, screw it. Hit record, and guess what? I did it. That works great up until it doesn't. So maybe she just thought the adrenaline would carry me through, and it didn't this time.
Well, I gotta say, go ahead, Gene.
Do you think that there's an equivalent in any other sport to something like this happening? This seems like a very unique.
Brandon Brooks did it to the Eagles.
What's that?
Brandon Brooks did it to the Eagles.
He had a non-physical injury?
Yeah, he had anxiety, so he stopped playing for that year. And then he got help, and he came back the next season and, got hurt. And then he had more, mental health issues, and he went out. So, I mean, it happens. I just, like, above all else, my hat's off to the three U.S. women who kind of carried the load and brought home a silver medal. I mean, that's a gold in my mind. A team down one person, and that they really battled for gold against the Russian Olympic Committee, who, for Christ's sake, shouldn't even be competing in the Olympics. Like, can we? I mean, like, what is that? Your country is banned from the Olympics, yet you can still compete under the Olympic flag?
Yeah, it's...
Just shifting gears here. Shifting Olympic gears.
Shifting gears is something we can all agree with. Those dirty Russians and the Olympics. That was facetious, for however Russian bots are listening right now.
Is that a jab at Mila Kunis?
No, she was in Bad Moms and Bad Moms Christmas.
Oh, did you see it's just a sidebar article about her and Ashton Kutcher came out today about how they do not shower regularly, and they also do not bathe their kids regularly. Their stance is, if you see dirt on them, wash it off, and that's it. So let your body do its natural oil thing. So when you said dirty Russians, I immediately went to Mila Kunis. I have no idea. Is she Russian? I believe she is, right?
She is from that. Her family is from that part of the world. I don't know if they're Ukrainian and not Russian, but I know that she has roots in that part of the world. God, that explanation sounds worse than just getting it wrong. Yes, she's Russian. So what the hell was I saying? Oh, the Russian Olympic Committee. Yeah, they were around in the Sochi Olympics, and I didn't know they'd be carrying over to this one, not the Sochi, Pyongyang. They're around in Pyongyang, and I didn't know they'd be carrying over to this one. So I was really surprised. I'm like, Rock is out competing, and I'm like, oh, okay, but. Like, who oversees them? Where do they practice? Because if it's all the same Russian officials, it's just like, you don't get your flag, but you get a stylized version of the flag. It's your flag, but cooler. I mean, it doesn't seem like that big a punishment, and the Russian national anthem is cool, but the Olympic theme is cool as well, So, yeah, it is a bit of a crock.
All right. anything else about the Olympics we want to touch on before we actually start talking about Philadelphia sports?
Did you guys watch any of the swimming? I'll tell you the other event earlier in the week that caught my attention was the women's 400 freestyle, where I was actively rooting for an Australian over an American.
You wanted Titmus to win?
I did. And I'll tell you why. I got suckered by the package on that one.
Wait, hold on. You wanted Titmus to beat Katie Ledecky?
I did.
I'm removing Gene from the
Please
from the
do.
screen. Just for a second, I don't know who that is. We have the.
Are we bringing in new third?
I am a sucker because I'm a sucker for the immovable force meets the spunky kid from Australia, with the insane crazed coach. The girl
that
said
guy can get bent if you ask me.
She just had a picture of Ledecky in her locker, and every day she punched a picture. I'm gonna get that girl. I'm gonna get that girl. I'm a sucker for that. I wanted to see her get Ledecky. Ledecky had lots of medals. I want to see the girl get Ledecky.
That coach air humping the railing. I mean, that guy can get lost.
My favorite part was the poor Japanese, I guess, handler or social distancing, coordinator was flying around, being trying to put him in the invisible
can't touch
box.
You, but yeah.
So,
I will say I also have a comment that I don't know if anyone noticed this, but the United States won every event that involved a gun.
Yeah, hey.
We've been training for it every day.
Good job since birth.
Real positive show tonight. American heroes are really cowards, and we have a gun problem in the United States.
Go Australia.
Go Australia.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, hey, baseball starts tomorrow.
What?
Baseball starts tomorrow.
Baseball starts tomorrow?
Olympic baseball starts tomorrow. So I'm excited for that. Team USA lost to France in their opening game of men's basketball, which, God, they're
women's softball. The U.S. got their ass kicked 2-0. And I know 2-0 does not sound like getting your ass kicked, but it was so uninspiring. Yeah, frustrating is a good way to put it. I think we left the bases loaded, right? In the 6th. Was it? I don't know. It was while I was doing other things that I will say.
I feel like I've been watching Cat Osterman my entire life. And my son goes, "Why are there so many old people on the softball team?" You leave Cat Osterman alone.
Well, speaking of which, and I'll just touch on it real quick. U.S. women's national team might be in trouble. Gene's favorite Australians, we drew with them, and coming up Friday, first thing in the morning, but reasonable, I think 7 a.m. Eastern time, USA versus the Netherlands in the knockout stage.
Is that tomorrow morning?
It's Friday. Friday U.S. time,
Friday morning.
7 a.m. Your time. You don't need to convert it, Dave.
Okay. All right. I'm
just
saying, I think we can all agree that Far East Olympics really are the worst to fit into the American daily lifestyle.
We should make them play.
Say that as diplomatically as possible. No.
When you begin any statement with "let's all agree about the Far East," whatever you follow with is gonna be dicey at best.
Well, I think it's great, except the problem is it's okay, Pyongyang, and then Tokyo, and now Beijing for the Winter Olympics. It's just okay, it's 8 years of the Far East games. Can we get something, it's a little bit more of time zone friendly for me personally. Olympic Committee, my plea to you.
Can you imagine what life was like before the DVR, when you could sort of time shift these things?
Well, everything is ruined. I mean, the nighttime package is useless with a Far East Olympics. It's I wake up in the morning, I go, I'm at work, I open up my homepage, and it's United States women scratch out a silver medal in women's gymnastics. It's like, oh, great. All right. I'm not watching that, I guess.
Well, I mean, when in your life, other than like Atlanta or when it's in the States, are the Olympics not spoiled? Like, that's sort of part of the deal for me. Like, I don't remember the last time I mean, it's not a super non-spoiler filled event. That's why I don't even make any effort to avoid things. And sort of like we were talking about today, if I honestly really care, I get up and I make sure that I watch it. But there hasn't been anything that's compelled me yet this Olympic Games. Maybe if the U.S. women national team get into like the semifinals, that'll be the first thing that I'll try to watch live. But yeah, no, I mean, and are you like a swimming pool guy or gal, or are you a track and field guy or gal? Like that's the big push and pull in my house. I'm a first half of the Olympics. I'm much more into swimming. I like the first week. My dad's a track and field guy. He likes the second week. He likes to see people run fast. Track and field gets boring to me.
Yeah, track and field also gets boring to me. Much more into the swimming, but I follow I watch the Olympics wrong. Okay, like here's the evening package, and I'm like, great. I want to watch tennis. I want to watch baseball. I want to watch softball. I want to watch soccer. Like these little one-off individual competitions. When I have to watch them, or when something's really compelling, or I accidentally watch them, I really enjoy them. But when given the choice, it's like, all right, U.S. track and field versus, Spain versus Argentina water polo. I'm watching the damn water polo. So it really feels like, even this morning, I had the softball on while all of Twitter was blowing up over gymnastics. So, my Olympic experience is unique.
I mean, my favorite Summer Olympics game is the indoor volleyball. Like, I will watch the shit out of any indoor volleyball match. I think it's so cool. I wish we had like a national league in the United States with your city's indoor volleyball team. I love it. I think it's cool. And I love all the team sports too, because it was great watching the softball, because it was like, okay, half inning, 1 30-second commercial, the bottom of the inning. And it was like, man, we are cooking through this game. It's such a more pleasant experience than watching a pro baseball game where it's like, okay, well, I got 3 minutes of commercials in between each half inning. Anybody want to talk about some Philadelphia sports?
Yes.
Sure.
Sarah, why don't you start us off with the big Flyers trade that happened this week, like immediately after we finished our last episode?
Well, that would be, you gotta get the lay of the land here. So that would be the Ghost trade, where the Flyers trade,
that's right. That one happened.
Yeah, we trade our figurative ghost for a literal ghost because we got nobody back. Ghost, a second next year, and a 2023, or I don't know, and then a 7th, which who cares about a 7th? We shed some calories. We shed some salary with Ghost. It was the right call. He wasn't going to find a spot here. We needed some roster space. We needed some flexibility. And then I think the one you were alluding to.
No, wait, where did he go?
He went to Arizona.
Right. A lot of people are upset about this. It seems like he was like
about him leaving for nothing.
I think people kind of liked him.
There's a lot of fond memories of Ghost, and he wasn't as bad as the team and apparently the league thinks he is. But he's inconsistent.
I think
he's
people like the idea of Ghost.
Yeah, well, Ghost was really dynamic. His rookie year was something special, something that we will always remember.
Yeah.
His next year, his sophomore year wasn't as bad as people let on. He was more defensively responsible. Then he had that wonderful year where he and Provorov were paired together, and it looked like, hey, here's our defensive pair of the future. And then that was that.
Yeah, and it was like power play magic that year, right?
Oh, power play magic. He was also really great defensively. He and Provorov had great advanced numbers. They shut teams down. They limited scoring chances. They were something really special. And that's when I was going like, I don't want to say it, but maybe this guy isn't Mike Green. Maybe he's more Erik Karlsson. And now he looks to be more like Mike Green. But a new venue, a new setting will be good for him.
I think casual fans just like the idea of having someone on the team with the nickname of Ghost and being able to write his name in emoji.
Well, yeah, it's fun. I mean, we do it. It was unique. It was cool. The guy has personality. He might have had attitude problems with the coach. It really does seem like that. He has said on more than one getaway day, he's been a little more open with his opinion than most hockey players are. Take that for what it's worth, but the Ghost era has ended.
Yeah, the Fairy Bee is the superior emoji name anyway, in my opinion.
We're trying hard to make that happen. So when Joel Farabee does something next season, make sure to use the Fairy and the Bee. A little less butch than a ghost and a bear, but a fairy and a bee.
I'm like the Gretchen Wieners of this podcast, and you are like, stop trying to make Fairy Bee happen, dude. It's just never gonna happen. All right, so let's move on to the Atkinson deal.
Well, I thought you were gonna go Ristolainen.
I don't know who this person is. It sounds like he's like a Russian consult to the Tsar.
Well, he's Finnish.
Okay. He's Rasputin to me.
That is a cool nickname.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ends well, but I mean that is a cool nickname.
I think it ends in a river, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think it's hard to kill. Shot, hung, drowned.
Well, that was his time in Buffalo. And he survived it all to make it to Philadelphia.
Right.
And for him, we gave up a first, a second. That's the one I think in 2023. And I say that like it's all far away as opposed to 2 years. And Robert Haig. And we're getting a guy that a lot of people are worried about. I have calmed down about him. One of those things that helped me calm down is hearing Joe Yearden talk. He's a beat writer out of Buffalo, very knowledgeable guy, really nice guy, and just talked about Ristolainen's usage and the fact the guy was more or less left out to dry. Buffalo has been really bad for a really long time, sure. And so the Sabres go, so went Ristolainen. So did he help this? Did he help them be bad? Was he bad by circumstances? It's really hard to say. But he's going to be playing in a different role here. He's going to move to the second pairing, presumably. Everyone's saying, oh, well, he's going to be our third defenseman. Travis Sanheim still exists. So Travis is probably going to be the number 3, and he'll be the number 4. And not like that matters. It's line pairings, defensive pairings, I mean. And then the name that keeps sticking out to me is Steve Mason. Before Mace came to Philadelphia, he was the laughingstock. He was the goalie you used for a punchline. He came to Philly, did well, continued to do well, played on pretty cheap contracts his whole time here, and then ended up the number 3 all-time in wins in Philadelphia. So there's a real chance that Ristolainen can have a Steve Mason-like comeback. And I'm sure there are people who will hear that and still laugh and still think that Mace was a bad goalie. But for his time in Philadelphia, he was pretty damn good. And if Ristolainen can be comparable, to that sort of improvement, then the Flyers got a good deal. So that was the trade on Friday. Now we get to Saturday, and there's the one that you wanted to lead off with, the Jake Voracek for Cam Atkinson.
I feel like it's the biggest move. Even though probably the first move was the biggest move, right?
Yeah, I'd say the first. I don't know. It's hard to separate this package. It's lots of things are happening. We're going to have 3 new defensemen in the lineup at least. Not necessarily new to the team, but new to the regular day in, day out lineup from last year. Ellis is the biggest addition. He's going to change the Flyers the most. Atkinson is definitely an attitude change. I love Jake Voracek. He had a big attitude. He had a big personality, and Atkinson's a lot more reserved, certainly more courteous, a little goofy. He's going to be a fan favorite here. Now, he is not as dynamic as Jake, but he's more of a goal scorer than Jake. The guy puts the puck in the net. He puts the puck on the net. So when it's the power play and you're screaming shoot at your TV, there's a good chance Cam's going to listen. He is a good guy from everything I've heard. I've been following since he was at Boston College. I'm loving that the Flyers are competing for the Boston College professional team with him and Kevin Hayes. But he's a good guy. He plays a 200-foot game. He is responsible on defense. He's an asset on defense. He kills penalties. He scores shorthanded goals. Everyone loves a shorthanded goal. It's a backbreaker. He's going to be a difference maker on this team.
So he should be the captain, right?
Damn you, Dave. Now, that question, not exactly, but a similar question to that was asked of Chuck Fletcher. I believe it was Rob Parent.
Chuck Fletcher decides who the captain is.
He does. He's part of
the GM decides who the captain is going to be on the team.
It's a management decision. Is not the players anymore. Yep.
It's not
for the longest time. The players elected the captain.
That's what I always
management
thought.
Decision. So you're stuck with Giroux, Dave. Sorry, but Fletcher was asked by Rob Parent if Giroux is going to remain the captain. He got a pretty quick yes. Sam Carchidi shared that, and everyone likes to dunk on Sam. But the one who did the dunking was Claude Giroux. Sam shared it and said Claude Giroux will remain captain. Giroux tweeted and wrote back, "Great scoop, Sam." So that's always fun.
But didn't Sam fire back and say something like
he did?
It was your own damn GM who brought it up or something? I don't.
He said it was your own GM who was talking about leadership changes on the team.
Yeah.
And you're part of leadership. Which was fair. To be honest, that was fair, but less fun. It's a lot more fun when you can go, Voracek is gone. Now we have Giroux to be a jerk to the reporters. Not that you should be a jerk to reporters. You really shouldn't. They're doing their job.
How much?
Too, but
all right. How much is who the captain of the team is have an impact on games?
That's a good question. I would say, I don't know, 10%, maybe.
What if you give everyone a C? What if you could put a C on everyone? Just look, we're all captains here. And we all need to lead by example and step up when it's our time. So we're all captains.
Well, they've done it before.
We're the Bernie Sanders team.
$27. Yeah. But they've done it before. There have been teams where it's they have 3 permanent assistants and no captain. That happens. It's not commonplace, but the captain is the leader of the team. The captain can speak to the referee. The captain can do lots of different things like that. Does it ultimately make a difference? Probably not.
Has a goalie ever been a captain?
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
Well, goalies are forbidden to be officially the captain. The most recent goalie who was captain was Roberto Luongo. Now, the reason why a goalie can't be the captain is because the captain's allowed to speak to the referee, and the goalie is on the ice the entire game. So the idea is that the goalie would just pester the ref the whole game. So
I like it. That's a good strategy.
So the goalie's not officially the captain, even if he was.
Okay. So he can't be the captain.
No, he can't. But Luongo had a little C on the bottom of his mask, and
that
then
was a Panthers situation.
No, that was a Vancouver situation, and he was not long for Vancouver afterwards. I think he was around for maybe another season.
Okay,
but so my question about the Flyers is: do we feel like that they have been de-grumpified by getting rid of sort of the personalities that have shifted out, the personalities that are shifting in? Have they de-grumped the Flyers? Are we going to be a much more fun-loving, easygoing, easy breezy, devil may care Flyers team?
I think you actually are really on to something there. They've talked about attitude in the locker room. They've talked about leadership change, and Jake was fairly kind of just a curmudgeon. Like I think like you were saying, Gene, he was a curmudgeon. Ghost, has been openly hostile, openly aggravated in the past. I don't know what to say about Robert Hagg. He seems nice enough. He was here for Oscar Lindblom during his cancer treatment. Those guys are apparently like best friends. So, I mean, hopefully it does become more fun-loving. Apparently this team is taking after Kevin Hayes. Yes, Dave, they should make Kevin Hayes the captain. Because they brought in Cam Atkinson that he did know from BC. That's being oversold a bit. They're only there together 1 year. But still, they do know each other from BC. And the Flyers today, well, not today, technically tomorrow, will be signing Keith Yandle. Keith Yandle, think of an older Ghost. Think of, if Ghost was allowed to do his thing and hang around the league for a long while, that he would grow up to be Keith Yandle. And Yandle's going to be playing on our bottom pair unless, Cam York.
I love an old Ghost.
An old Ghost.
An old Ghost. Like the Bloody Baron.
Or Nearly Headless Nick.
Yes.
So was this the offseason you sort of were hoping for without having a coaching change? I don't remember you advocating for a coaching change at any point last year, but I mean, something had to change. You can't have a season like last season and not address it seriously. Do you feel that the situation has now been seriously addressed?
Yes. Yeah. And I was very vocal that changes were going to happen. There was a lot of cynicism saying the Flyers will never change. The Flyers aren't going to do anything. Chuck Fletcher is not going to be aggressive because he had one conservative offseason. I wanted to see change. I wanted to see change for the sake of change, which normally I'm not in favor of, but this team needed something to change. They needed an attitude adjustment, so we weren't talking about, why do the Flyers always start slow? Why do the Flyers get in their own head so much? Why are they so easy to frustrate? So to do that, you got to change up the personnel. So I definitely wanted to see that. I wanted to see Ellis in here. I had sort of come to terms with us getting Seth Jones. I am so grateful we didn't based off the contract Chicago gave him. But I'm very happy with everything we've done so far. Ristolainen would not have been my first choice, but I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's only on a 1-year contract. He will probably get extended, but maybe not until the season has already started. The Flyers will need a backup goaltender, and we want somebody who can carry the load until Carter Hart, we can be sure that his mental health is strong enough to play at the elite level he had been playing at the past. So tomorrow is free agency day. Starting at noon tomorrow, Flyers are free to sign people, even though we got some classic old school free agency day where it's like you're not allowed to talk to the players, but all the trades leaked the day before. Right. So the Flyers will pick up a backup goalie tomorrow, probably Bernier or Reimer. Those are two leading candidates. Maybe Braden Holtby, but
I like all those names.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Reimer or Bernier than Holtby, just because
Holtby's got to be up there in age.
He actually isn't. He's young 30s, maybe like 32, 33. If that.
I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's been around.
Holtby?
What, Braden Holtby? Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching him when I was like 7 years old.
No, you weren't. Not like even close. Maybe 37.
I gotta say, like I'm like I would consider myself like a casual Flyers fan. I'm not like deep in it, like I am with like maybe like the Sixers and Phillies and stuff. But I'm way more excited to watch the Flyers now than I was 3 weeks ago.
And
I'm excited for the start of the season. I can't wait to see these guys, and I think it's going to bring new energy. I think like fresh starts in new places are good for people. I think
I'm excited to talk about them again, which is another.
I just hope all of these guys are Philly guys, and they bring their lunch pails, and they're gritty and grinders, and we're gonna love them, and we're gonna win a lot of games, right? Last 5 minutes here. Where do you want to go?
Phillies are going to have to make a trade, right? Right? The Phillies are going to make a trade. So what do you want, Dave? If you had your pick,
that's a fun
one guy. It can be anybody.
I was going to talk about Deshaun Watson, but I think like what your dream situation for the Phillies. Like, let's talk about like let's do a little free agent shopping for the Phillies. What do I want? All right, here's what I'm thinking. Right, like look. The obvious need is a back end of the rotation guy or a starting pitcher, and whatever.
I think we're having some technical issues with Dave,
which will be interesting since he's running this thing.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. But Gene, who are you thinking? Who's your target? Who do you want?
Well, I'm going to go the conspiracy theory route, and I think it was last night I saw Bryce Harper batting with a Chris Bryant bat. So I can't imagine why else Bryce Harper is going to take that out to the plate, knowing that every time he steps up to to take some swings, that everybody zooms in on his bat, and I think that he's trying to sort of put the bug in management's ear that he would like to have Chris Bryant, and if that's who Bryce Harper wants, I'm going to get behind it. So I would like to see Chris Bryant come in. I'd like to add another bat like that into the middle of the lineup. Maybe it's because I'm a Phillies fan. I'm just so hesitant to want to spend a lot of capital on what is probably going to be a middle of the road starter or a back end bullpen piece that, how many times have, for every Brad Lidge that we've had how many Jonathan Papelbons, who I guess honestly pitched a lot of good innings for the Phillies, but God, what a disgusting human being. And Billy Wagner's another guy who I just didn't like. I would like to say that obviously the glaring need is with arms, but if I want a splashy name, if I'm dreaming big, I'd love to see a power hitter like Chris Bryant come in, and I like the idea of having a JT Realmuto, Chris Bryant, Bryce Harper, murderer's row somewhere in the lineup. I would like to see that happen in the 7th or 8th inning, to watch a reliever have to sort of navigate through that. So that would be my pick. I think that makes everybody in the lineup better. So that's my take. Sarah, what do you think?
I think that's a good take. I don't really know what I want the Phillies to do because I haven't bought fully back in. I want to. I want to believe in the Phillies, but every time I'm out, they pull me back in. It's the exact opposite of that. It's the exact opposite of the Godfather 3 problem. It's every time I'm in, they push me back out, and I don't have faith in the Phillies. I think more times than not, I think the Bryce Harper decision was a bad one. Not for Bryce Harper, just because we don't have the team to support it. It was like, we have the luxury car and we don't have a house, so I just wonder what moves are worth making. Now, I don't think the Phils are built for the long term. I don't think that's the case. I would like, thinking that way, I would like to go, burn fast, burn bright, burn quickly, try to win now. If it looks like we have an opening now, and it does, at whatever level the Phillies are playing at now, it's good enough to hang out around the top of the division. So, the Phillies are going to be close to getting there. You might as well push for it. So give me a bat. I want starting pitching because we don't have any. We don't have, we have Wheeler and Nola flip a coin, Vinny Velasquez, if he's using spider tack, maybe he's great, maybe he's not. Dave, if you are with us, give us a sign.
I'm here. Am I not on the screen?
You are on the screen. I'm just going
to say, look, if the Phillies are going to win, they need to mash. All right. We just don't have the pitching. We're not going to be able to get the pitching. The pitching isn't on the market. And if it is, we don't have the assets to get it. We need bats and we need a hit. And we need a hit like we've never hit before. We need a hit like it's 2007. And honestly, this team won a World Series with, Cole Hamels, Brett Myers, and Jamie Moyer, for crying out loud. I mean, you got to hit. I would love to get like a Trevor Story or Chris Bryant or something like that we can, just keep adding to this like sort of just hodgepodge group of sluggers that we're acquiring haphazardly on the team. And then I'd maybe try to get some pitching in free agency. But that's kind of where I'm at. But look, it's fun watching. I don't know. What are they doing right now? I know they were trying to come back.
6-4, bottom of the ninth. I don't know how many outs, but
no, it doesn't look good. Coming back from 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth 2 nights in a row is a tall order. We'll be back next Tuesday talking about Phillies, maybe some Eagles news with training camp. The Sixers draft is Thursday. So make sure you tune into the Painted Lines draft party, watch party on Thursday night. Gene, you going to hop in on that?
That is my plan.
All right, cool. Well, we'll be looking out for you there. What else? If you haven't done so already, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Podadelphia. If you have any more time in your podcast listening day, be sure to check out the Whip Around for all the week's weird news. And again, be sure to check out the Painted Lines for your wall-to-wall Philly sports coverage. We'll see you next week. And until then, have a great day at work, everybody. We are out of here.